Hello friends, back at it here. Check this out here behind me, 1969 Firebird convertible. I don't know anybody in their right mind who'd want one of these, right? Well, of course I do. I love these cars, everything about them. And of course, I messed around in the old Bookface Marketplace. This thing popped up and happens to belong to one of my friends too, just the same. But so I couldn't resist the opportunity to come check this thing out, give it a once over, kind of give you guys tips and what to look for when buying a car like this, because this is a project started. The typical story, hopped between 2, 3, 4 different body shops. Stuff got misplaced, stuff got lost, never got done. The only thing I went missing was the guy's money. And unfortunately, now it's come to here to get repaired, but things change, things happen, and it can no longer get it repaired. So now they're going to sell it. So I wanted to give it a once over. Of course, if I had more space in the old VVG, I'd be picking this thing up for myself and fixing it, because this is definitely in a lot better condition than the old Firebird convertible that I had, the old Transmarino, because these doors still open and shut, and the car doesn't break in half. So I want to give you a good walk around. Of course, this car is for sale. You guys want to make any offers, hit me up in the comments here, or shoot me an email, see if we can work out. But I can get a hold of the owner here, and maybe you guys work out a deal. But now, of course, looking at a car like this, don't get overly excited, because this thing looks great. It really does. The fenders don't look bad. The doors don't look bad. The quarter panels don't look bad. Looking inside the car, the beautiful thing about being the interior is, I'll rip that out, you're going to get an honest view of what you got. I've bought many a cars, and you pull the carpet out and like, surprise, you find street signs and all kinds of weird debris and french fries. Now, the worst part on the inside of this car, looking around, it's had a floor pan patch up here. The front corner here, the passenger side front, we all know this thing here, the toe board likes to rot out. So it's had a little patchwork there, but you can see through to the ground through that rocker panel. Now, the inner rocker panel on that side, you can see the hole. So it's going to need an inner rocker panel repair. No worries, can be done. I showed you guys how to do that in a previous video. But the front corner, they don't make that piece. So you're going to have to hand fab that or replace the entire rocker panel. That is an option. Now, they're a little salty, a little pricey, and on infinite back order at the time. Last I know, they're not really available. But the important parts here, the bottom of the inside the quarter panels here, this is a place to look at. They do not make convertible patch panels for the inside of the quarter panel here. So these are actually in good shape, both left and right. We got some rags in here because they were messing with the top, but those panels are in really nice shape. And look, you check out this driver's side rocker panel. Beautiful tight seam still, so I don't think you'll need a whole lot of work on the driver's side, not like the passenger side. Now, that's the worst of it right there. Now, the typical areas for rust, yep, you bet. We got a little crust going down here on the bottom of the dash here on the bottom of the window. Not the end of the world. They make the dash panel part here, but I would just section into pieces, so it's going to need that. But here's the thing about, they put quarter panels on us, complete full quarter panels on this car. They look nice, with the exception of, let's see if I can get you in here. When they did the full quarters, they forgot to do the fender wells. So this is something you want to look at. Yes, the outside sheet metal is beautiful, but the inside fender wells, well, they didn't even bother with them. That's something, while that thing was off, really should have been repaired. That's kind of a sad situation. Now, inside the trunk, this is where you find all the prizes. Of course, you've got the wiring harness here right now. Now, it does have, this car has all 4 of these cocktail shaker, vibration dampeners, whatever you want to call them. It has all 4, so that's pretty awesome. Trunk floor, well, that's not a surprise. They have some holes, got a little swelling and blistering, so really could use a trunk floor in this car. The filler panel between the top and the deck lid looks really nice. So I don't think I'd have to worry about that being a problem. Would definitely, I think, be able to reuse that. And this is the original trunk deck for '69 because it has these holes, but again, it's got a lot of filler here. There should be a lip, but there's nothing here. It's just all filler with Bondo. So this trunk deck, you would either need a lot of work or just replace it. Tail panel, though, this actually looks pretty decent. The outer skin on it, we actually didn't seam these completely together, but not put on right. Look at the step here. The outer skin of the quarter skin and the tail panel are not supposed to be stepped like that. So something like that would probably bother me. I don't want to take that back apart. So this car would need the quarter panels really taken back off to refit that properly and then do the fender wells. And then while, of course, if you had a tail panel off it, that's when you do your trunk floor. And this is all the stuff we're seeing up top. Same thing happened here on the passenger side. Brand new quarter panel. Fantastic. I love the new metal. But if you look down in here, it's not tied to anything. It's just, I'll get you on the inside, but same thing, the outer fender well. Just not in that great a shape. You can see it's not even attached, it's just kind of tucked up in there. So not the best quality job. And this is one of those things when you take it to body shops, they say they're taking care of you. Well, sure are taking care of all your money, but not really giving you what they said they're supposed to do. Again, repairable, but this is proof it was a full quarter pound. Check us out, the EDP. But they did go through the trouble of welding it through here. Most time that gets skipped, so I guess you get some things right. And this is a little better view here of the passenger side rocker panel. Now, if you're going to do my technique where you just use the inner, this part here would need a little repair. Then you have to come back here and then re-weld where it's separating the inner and the outer here. Should be put back together, but the metal is still very good and it's super heavy gauge. So just more proof that some of the factory spot welds are less than stellar. But again, repairable. Now, they did the front door jamb section here on the passenger side. Not necessarily the best job of lining it up, but I think it's close. I think you could probably work with this, or take it back out and do a little cleaner job. These panels aren't horribly expensive. And now, one of the nice things about this car is the doors. There's not really any swelling. This corner is the worst, but the bottom, the rest of the pinch weld, that's something we'll look at in these doors. Looks real clean and tight down the whole thing. So when I'm looking at these cars, I grab the bottom of the doors, look at that. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, these fenders are the original fenders. There's a lot of putty work here. You can even tell that by the thickness of the holes here. That should only be the thickness of sheet metal. That's about a 1/4 inch thick. Definitely not how it's supposed to be. So that was something you're gonna know. You're gonna have some hidden goodies in here. Again, this is at a body shop, and this is what you're paying for. So you can already see the cracks. This thing hasn't even been bolted together, seen weather yet. It's already cracking and coming apart. So definitely repairable, but something to kind of keep in mind. Now looking inside here, nothing out of the ordinary. Now we check underneath the old power barn under the hood. Well, there's absolutely no engine whatsoever. All right, poking under here. Now this was a 6-cylinder car originally. If you look at the body tag, it's going to tell you a lot of information, but this thing was originally configured with a 6-cylinder. But we have V8 mounts and V8 steering linkage. Now if there's a 6-cylinder steering linkage, it actually comes a little further forward this way. So someone went through a lot of trouble to convert this. Can't tell you why, but that makes it really cool if you're going to do a Pontiac V8 swap. Those components are already done. Now, so far, we're not looking too bad for what I like to build in my garage. Now, this thing is definitely repairable. It's even a power top car, which is pretty cool. So the motor's in there, cylinders in there. So that has that potential. But this thing is going to need a floor pan, rocker panel repair, some kind of an inner rocker panel, I guess, rebuild or fabrication. That's going to be a little tricky, maybe, but it's definitely doable. The rear frame rails, though, they look pretty good from about, here to over the rear tire, but the last, so let's say foot section there, where the spring shackle mounts, they're a little soft. The passenger side is bad, driver side is marginal, but I'd probably either do just the rear sections or maybe complete frame rails, depending on your skill level, what you want to do, but definitely something that it's going to need some rear frame rail repairs. But other than that, it's not too bad. I'll get you underneath the car here. You can see what I'm talking about, but at this point, I think this car is definitely salvageable. And not to mention, this car comes with the new floor pan. It comes with 2 brand new repop front fenders, whatever, but they're there. You got them. I think he has both inner rocker panels, and there's a handful of other goodies that come with this car for sheet metal. So not only are you getting a car that needs some work, but it has a lot of the parts. So let me climb into the back car here. I'll show you what we have here. All right, let's get down here. See if I can get the camera to work. Now, this is a Pontiac rear end, most likely probably the original diff. I don't know the gears in it. I'm gonna say it's probably not a limited slip, but now this is something I like to do, climb up under the car here. It is a little bit surface rusty, but these are the convertible, so these are a lot heavier gauge than your coupe, so there's still a lot of good material here. Now you can see it looks pretty scaly, but you know, you were to take your screwdriver or your rust checker, it's not gonna go through. So I would suggest sandblasting or cleaning this up. But this frame rail, I would say, is good until you get to right about here. It gets a little soft, especially around where the spring shackle's at. That's a little bit of the better side, but you can see a little bit of swelling between the 2 panels. That tells you got some rust festering between them. Now, so this is the driver's side. Now, if we pop over here to the passenger side, this is where it's not so good. I can actually put my finger up through here and dig around inside. That hole is definitely much larger than it should be. And again, we see a lot of swelling right through here. So, but when you come further forward, we clean up just that surface rust again. So you could probably do just that rear section from here to here. I think you'd be okay. And if you look here, this is what I'm talking about. Trunk drop off. He actually has new trunk drop offs that come with the car, but look at this. This is supposed to be attached together. I'm not supposed to put my hand inside the trunk here. So again, it looks great on the outside, but the bones or the good bits underneath the car, we know they need some love. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what you got to look for when you're paying someone to fix your car even. What are the kind of repairs you getting? Just to make it look good on the outside? Or are we doing quality repairs? In this case, not so good. Now we pop up here, we're still on the passenger side frame rail. Let's shoot up here towards the front. This is a little bit more rusty. Again, I think we're just mostly surface. It's a little soft here. You can see I'm knocking flake off, but there's still a lot of solid metal here. So maybe a full passenger side frame rail might be best, but I think this is completely cleaned up when you sandblast, because I don't have a lot of swelling on the seams here where it ties to the floor. So if you were to sandblast that and treat that, I think it would be okay. Now here's another shot of the inner rocker panel there. It's definitely got some problems. But when you got that floor pan out of the way, it's when you do that thing. So as for the trunk floor goes, I mean, it doesn't look bad from underneath here looking around. So you could do maybe just the center section here, but I guess I can leave it up to whoever's building the car. If it was me, I like doing the whole one-piece trunk floor just because I think it looks cleaner. But this trunk floor is not dead, but it does definitely need some patchwork. Now, he has quite a few other parts here hanging out. These are the seats. Now, these appear to be 1968 seats to me, because check this thing out. There's no headrest or provisions for headrest. So those are 1968 seats with standard interior. And this car had deluxe interior. I know that because of the style of door handle. So I want to say those are definitely not the original seats, but they are rebuildable cores. He has the front two and the rear seat. Not a fold-down seat option, but the rear seat. Dash pad, on the other hand, well, she's pretty gun-smoked, but do not throw those away. I got some future videos potentially popping on these, how to restore or rebuild a factory dash, because it's definitely a lot better than the repop ones out there, so keep that in mind. And of course, he's got the 4 Pontiac Rallies. This was a 4-wheel drum car from the factory, manual drum, so not necessarily the most exciting as for brakes, but that was pretty standard. He does have the center console that comes with the car. Does have the instrument cluster in the panel. And of course, the typical radio hole is been destroyed because someone put the wrong radio in there. Not a surprise. Does have the glove box door. We've probably got 95% of all the parts he's included with the car, including sheet metal, to put this car all back together. So really not too far off from having a complete car. All right, so there you have it. 1969 Firebird convertible for sale in the old Bookface Marketplace. What's this bad boy worth? How much would you pay for it? Asking price, as it sits with all the sheet metal, under $8,000. Now, that doesn't include an engine or a transmission, but it does come with a clear title ready to put in your name so you can get started on this project. So now there's good, the bad, and the ugly with all these things. I mean, we've all got our opinions what they're worth, but I'm thinking this is actually a pretty decent builder car. Now, price-wise, I like to buy them for $2,000 or $3,000, but I'm telling you now, those deals are few and far between, and I'm probably never going to find too many more. So even if I didn't have so many things going on, I'd be a little tempted to pick this thing up because I love these old cars. I like the convertibles, and 1969 happens to be my favorite year. So hopefully you learned a little something, or if you wanted to even make an offer on this car, let me know in the old comments, or any questions, concerns, definitely let me know just the same. But I hope this helps you out when you're looking for these cars. Look at the rust areas. Yes, it's been in a body shop for the last 70 billion years, but what has they really gotten so far? Well, a lot of less than stellar work. Yes, it looks good, and you could paint what you have here behind me, and the car would look okay as a driver, and you probably have some fun with it. But let's be honest, if you want to make a super sharp car, you're going to be taking this thing back apart and starting over and doing it a little better, or doing it right, I like to say. Or my favorite thing, I guess I keep saying, the right way, the wrong way, and the VVG way. So this is definitely not the VVG way yet, but it could be. So I appreciate you following me on this journey. I got some more videos back in the shop. I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to check out an old bird, especially close to home. I don't see these too often, so I want to take some time, grab you guys. Hope you found this stuff information good or helpful or useful or tip, but nonetheless, I'm going to get the heck out of here. I'm going to lock up, go home, find me something to eat, go back to playing with the Great Pumpkin, and we'll catch you guys then.